Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, and happy Friday to all those who work and don't work. I do look forward to Friday because that means I get a whole weekend of actually getting to interact with my husband for 2 days. So I'm looking forward to whatever comes this weekend. And I missed yesterday. I was experiencing some pretty bad back pain yesterday. Um, so I decided to just chillax and um, I'm going to stop exercising on the episode. As you would imagine, it has been quite challenging to exercise and record at the same time a message that is coherent. And it's just a little too difficult for me to keep my train of thought while I'm doing that. So I hope you're keeping up with your exercise program that I posted a couple days ago. Yesterday was day 3, and it was yoga flow and vestibular tolerance. So we did some more chair to stand flow, which is very challenging for me. My legs are super sore this week. Um, we also have the seated forward fold and some stretches and yoga type stuff. So warrior poses and simple just head turns and taking a deep breath. And those I really need for my sore neck. My neck is always sore. And I've heard a lot of people who have this disorder that I have sore necks. So I don't know if it's correlated or I've always chalked it up to be the back injury from walking autumn, and how it just goes all the way up from the bottom part of my back up my neck. But just doing some turns. And what I read is that we don't want to turn our heads as far as it'll go. It's just like turning it and loosening it up and just doing that every day, taking some deep breaths while you do it. Don't move it too fast. And that's good for loosening it up. And I have noticed that that does help for me, as long as I don't try to push my neck too far. And then yesterday was also the cat stretch, which is tabletop position, and just pushing your torso down towards the floor and then lifting it up towards the sky and rotating back and forth and getting some gentle spine movement and some breaths in there. So that was yesterday. And then today is day 4. And this is a 20-minute steady walk. And I'm getting ready to do that with Autumn. I'm all dressed up to do my walk outdoors. It's really cold outside, but I'm going to do it so that I can start building up some endurance. And I'm also going to practice turning my head while I walk ever so slightly so that I can integrate some vestibular physical therapy in there as well. And then don't forget to warm up and cool down afterwards. So that is day 4. And today I want to do my book review for the book that I read. And so I made some updates to the website for those of you who keep up with the Reads and Recovery that we started back up this year. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, I had been reading The Body Keeps the Score for Reads and Recovery, and I got about 4 hours into it and thought, I'm not enjoying myself. And I mean, it's a good book, but it's just, it wasn't speaking to me last month. So I did abandon it for now, and I picked up another book, and that's the book review that I want to do today. So I did mention it on Tuesday, the book, and I wasn't able to give you the full title of the book, so I'm gonna do that now. And I will, in my book review, do my best to not give anything away, but I do want to do the book review because it was so encouraging. It's such a good book. And it's okay, so it's called oh dear. I don't have it pulled up. That's so silly of me. Okay. So the book is called Unexpected Awakening. 22 Days at a Buddhist Monastery Freed Me from Abuse. That's the title. I'll say it again. Unexpected Awakening. 22 Days at a Buddhist Monastery Freed Me from Abuse. And the author is Laurie S. Jacobson. And Laurie happens to be a new friend of mine that I met in my new neighborhood in the Authors Club. And her and I had gone out to lunch and we got to talk a little bit about writing because I'm in the process of writing a book. And I have just been, so the stage I'm at with my book is I wrote an outline and then I have completed what I have been calling chapters one and two. So I was talking to Laurie about this book of mine, and she gave me some not feedback on the book. I guess I shouldn't call it feedback, some encouragement for how to structure the book, like how to open the book. And because I don't know, I've never written a book. I know what I like in a book, so I want to be able to mimic that. And after my conversation with her, and then sending a copy of the outline of my book and chapter one to a young woman that is going to help me with editing, my editor, I got some feedback from her. And so I went back and I redid my outline. And now the outline is opening the book at a moment that will pull the listener in. That is my goal with the outline that I have now. And I just restructured some things. So I'm feeling very encouraged and excited about the outline as it looks right now. And I do have some editing that I'm going to do. That's my next step is to go back and expand on the outline as well as maybe edit some things that I don't particularly like. But I really want to spend the appropriate amount of time on the outline. And maybe I'm obsessing about it too much. I don't think so because I'm really trying to figure out like what is the point? What is the point of the story? Um, and yesterday I was thinking of the end of the story. Like, how does the story end? And I was obsessing for a couple weeks about, is this a self-help book? Is it a memoir? Like, what is this? And I I'm getting to the point where I need to just write and let what happens happens. Let it take on a life of its own. So that's really where I'm at currently. And I'm finishing up some, I have a million hobbies. So I'm finishing up some of those projects so that I can really just have writing the book be my main activity for a long period of time. So, what's my point? So, Lori is a friend, and so I went in. She was gracious enough to let me have a PDF copy of the book so that I could have my phone read the book to me because she doesn't have an audio version of the book right now. And it worked. I was able to use voiceover to listen to the book. And I was so excited that that worked and I was able to do it. And I just, I was so excited about the book when it ended yesterday, when I finished it up yesterday. I was so excited about how good it was that I stopped mid quilting and I ran to my phone and picked it up and called her. I love this book. So I wanted to do a podcast episode on it. And so that's how I know the author. It was fun to read a book by somebody that I know, that I just met, and I was getting to know the author through the book, getting to know my friend through the book. So the book, the book is it's like a memoir and yet it's told like a story. And it's really what I posted a review on Goodreads and on Amazon, and I feel very much like it is it's a story, it's a memoir, and it's a testimony to the resilience of us as humans. Um, what I found really interesting is how this journey that's described in the book, this awakening, it's like a spiritual awakening. It's like um, rebuilding an identity. It I felt so connected, even though the journey is so different than mine. Um, I really was able, and I talk about this all the time in my podcast, how this podcast is for anyone who is recovering from something, and that we're all recovering from something. And I'm really adamant about that. And I could even see in the book how the journey through abuse and recovering, finding a way out, just mimicked or mirrored my journey out of alcoholism and my journey after my stroke. It's like this finding yourself in the middle of something that doesn't feel good, finding yourself in the middle of something that's hard and feeling hopeless, feeling like there's no way out, feeling stuck. And that's interesting because I went to celebrate recovery on what's today? Thursday. Was that yesterday? Wait, yesterday? No. I'm like, what day is it? Wednesday, I went to celebrate recovery, and the topic was 7 reasons why we get stuck. And it's on a different level of being stuck is what it's talking about. It's talking about being stuck um, in recovery. And this book is more about being stuck and not knowing how to get out. The the lesson in Celebrate Recovery was you're out, but you're starting to get pulled back into old behaviors. So you're feeling like there's no way out. And what I heard the other day, staying, feeling the pain becomes a habit. And this is really what I hear so many times about women who live in an abusive environment. And so this author, as the title says, goes to a Buddhist monastery and enters this world of silence and structure. And it's opening the door ever so slightly to there is an awakening that's possible. And do these things and you can experience it. Um, that's so similar to my journey through sobriety. It was like I walked in the door and I sat there, and the people there told me there is an awakening, there is healing, there is an opportunity to live a better life that's available to you. Do these things and you can experience it. So that theme in the book really resonated with me. It even though the book is referencing emotional abuse from a, a person, exterior emotional abuse, it it seemed so relatable to me in the internal like abuse, my self abuse, the way that I was abusing myself, both physically, mentally, and that was blocking me from anything that was spiritual. I would never even say the word or think of the word spiritual back then. But today it's just such a prevalent part of my life that I find myself saying the word spiritual probably every day. There is this identity erosion when we live in a constant state of abuse, whether it is abusing ourselves or being abused by somebody else. So to, to see a tiny little speck of hope, a tiny flicker, um, even when we don't see the hope, that we don't see the opportunity is there in front of us, there's something inside of us that still fights, that still we have a desire to live. And in this state of abuse, it feels like we're dying. Um, and in alcoholism, when I'm abusing my own body, I was dying. And being in an environment where we're being emotionally abused, it feels the same way. It feels like we're dying. And what I find really cool about the book is as the author starts to be exposed to structure and silence, sitting in the discomfort, she talks about the discomfort, the physical discomfort from sitting in the same position um, to meditate. And I find it really cool how that physical discomfort that she experiences when she's forcing herself to stay still to meditate is the same is parallel to that need for me in my recovery to stay in the discomfort and stay and listen and get quiet and observe what's going on with inside of me. And it's not necessarily physical discomfort, it's emotional discomfort. And maybe it was for her too in in meditation. You know, as we learn how to meditate, and I've experienced this as I've been learning how to meditate, is it's just it takes a lot of practice. That's why they say practice meditation. It takes practice sitting still and dealing with that battle between our ears. And then, but as we practice it, we're able to start paying attention to more that's happening within us and eventually outside of us. And that's where in the book, these synchronicities start. I mean, I'm calling them synchronicities, but they start being revealed throughout the book, these synchronicities. And it to me speaks to that inner awakening that's happening throughout the book. Um, I really felt like the the psychological toll that the abuse takes on us is like what I've mentioned in the past, like building this self-constructed prison. And the more that inner dialogue brings me down, the more my identity was getting chipped away at. And I started to identify with this version of myself that was so abusive. I was abusing myself. I was mean to myself. And and that's what I see or I hear and what I saw happen in the book. I almost said kind of what I saw happen in the book, um, that what I am hearing from external emotional abuse becomes the dialogue that I'm telling myself. Um, but yet there's this innate desire to save ourselves. It's just like we always, no matter how much hope is lost, if I'm just speaking in about my life and my experience, no matter how much hope I lose in different things I experience, whether it's my stroke or alcoholism, there's something inside of me that just tries to crawl its way out of the darkness. And and that's what got me to detox. And I believe that's what got this author to the monastery. It's just like I don't know what's going to happen, but the pain, it's like when the uncertainty of the future uh, is not as scary as the pain that I'm living in. You know, for so long, the pain felt more comfortable than the uncertainty that was ahead if I changed something. And it's scary. It's scary to be in a relationship where staying feels more comfortable than leaving. The abuse feels more comfortable than the escape. And that's fascinating to me. You know, that says a lot about, I think, that psychological change that happens when we're in an abusive situation. So, what really spoke to me a lot is the staying, the noticing, the feeling the hard stuff, and making those small decisions every day to stay. Making the small decision in the monastery to stay in the meditation is reflective to me of the same need to stay in my discomfort and just keep the solution is there, but it feels bad before it feels good, you know? Um, this morning, on a side note, this morning our topic in one of my meetings was how do you stay sober through hard stuff? And when I shared that the way you do it is to feel. The way to get through hard stuff is to feel the hard stuff. That's the way. Um, I think that throughout my sobriety, I've been able to begin seeing so much more than what's in front of me. I am able to see so much deeper inside of myself. Like there is so much strength that has been cultivated by feeling, by staying in the discomfort, the hard stuff, by crying, by feeling the pain. It's like going to the gym and feeling the pain, like doing sit-ups. You know that terrible, terrible, like it hurts so good. That's what I would call it when you're doing sit-ups and you or crunches and you get to this point where you've worked them so hard that it's just it's funny to me because it feels like I could throw up, but yet it feels good because I know that there's work happening. That's what the pain is now to me. When something makes me sad, when something makes me scared, when there is some sort of discomfort. No, I'm not sitting there laughing about it, but there I can feel something being cultivated inside of me. It's like that's part of like this continuous awakening that continues to happen in my life when I feel hard stuff. Um, anyway, back to the book. So I think what I was leery about was, is this book gonna try to convert me into Buddhism or, what is the goal of the book? That's what I was hesitant about. Um, but having an open mind, like this book shows you how healing in recovery transcends any religion or spirituality, direction. Like it can happen for all of us, no matter where we are. It's but for each of us, it's our own unique journey. I just thought that it was amazing the way that the author articulated that that really like rebirth. That's what I felt was happening. I felt that there was just a woman being reborn inside this book. And I just thought it was great. I thought it was great. And I I was not expecting the ending. Not to spoil it. I'm not going to even allude to what happens, but I wasn't prepared for it. And it left me very emotional. And it was an emotion that lingered long past me finishing the book. Um, I felt like the book was an experience. I was there with the author. I went to the monastery with her. I did the meditations with her. And the synchronicities were cool. It just made me feel like that's neat. And I probably, if I hadn't have gone through my recovery experience, I probably would have been like, she's making that up, you know? But really experiencing the synchronicities, once you start paying attention, once you get quiet and start paying attention, it's cool. It really does happen when you pay attention, when you can start looking inward, get cut through all the noise, like get quiet, make the chaos calm down in life. The synchronicities are there. They just are there for you to notice them. I think the book is speaks to people, anyone who has or is enduring emotional abuse, anyone in recovery, early recovery, late recovery, somebody who would classify themselves as recovered, it doesn't matter. I think this book is for you. This book is great for anyone rebuilding their identity, anyone who feels spiritually displaced, or anyone who has just stayed too long in something that didn't feel good. Um, it really speaks to the resilience of the human spirit. It speaks to how there the healing that is inside silence. And there's so much in silence that we can leverage in our relationships, in ourselves. And I feel like the book speaks to that silence, there's freedom in it if we practice it. And small choices that we make in our life can become liberation from whatever it is that we might be stuck in. There's a solution, and I found the book to be very encouraging and hopeful to anyone who might be suffering. So 5 stars, or as I say in my reads and recovery, it is 5 tail wags. And if you don't know what that means, you can go to recoverydailypodcast.com/reads dash and dash recovery, reads and recovery, or just go to recoverydailypodcast.com and click on the reads tab, and you can see what 5 tail wags means. It's 5 stars. Um, and one last thing, I do hope that this author writes another book. We'll see. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.